It wasn't, it was my testing that one of the last meetings, I didn't test the mic enough and it didn't pick up. So I've been trying to make sure I tested it when I was ready. So
we don't have any objection. We'll go ahead and get started. Got enough people here. We're missing Michael Fortune. Michael Fortune is out. He's the chairman of this commission right now, and he just got home from surgery today. He's recovering well, so we hope to see him soon, and we miss him. And he says he misses the staff and the commission. He says, please share that, and probably the public too. But he didn't say anything specific about that. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tyler, would you lead us in that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. Okay, we're going to get started here. We're going to do a roll call. We've got Joe Chambers here today, and we've got Tyler Riggs, myself, Brian Marble, and Bob Perry here tonight. So we've got a quorum. We'll go ahead and get started with the approval of the minutes. Any changes to the minutes from last meeting?
Line 81.
Okay. What was wrong with line 81?
The sentence, it starts with parties discuss accessory dwelling units first. I think we got the wrong verse in there. It should be BERSUS.
Versus?
Yeah.
Versus.
Yeah.
Okay. Or abbreviated VS.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I found.
I did have a question on line 113 where Mr. Chambers, you made the motion for saying existing structures as of, in the minutes, it says February 23rd, 2022. But I was wondering if what you had actually said or what you had meant is the date that the council approves, if they were to make that change. Would that have been effective as of the date that the council makes the decision, or is it effective as when the planning commission made the recommendation?
First off, all we can do is make a recommendation to the council so they can change that whenever. I use that date because that's the date that public had notice of the potential change, and I just thought it would be a good date.
Okay, I was just curious, but no need to make a change there then.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion about last meeting's minutes?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of
February 23rd.
February 23rd, Planning Commission.
Second.
We have a motion by Bob Perry and a second by Tyler Riggs. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next in line, public comments. We've got a time here where anybody from the public can, this could be on a public, this could be on a public, not just a public hearing. This could be on a public comments and a public hearing. That's the attendance, right?
Just a general.
Okay. We've got public hearing and we've got public comments. We're going to start with public comments. Public comments are general comments from the public. Anybody would like to stand at this point? We've been offering 3 minutes. We will have a public hearing tonight if you're wishing to comment on that. And we will start that after the public comments are over. Any takers? Okay, you guys are quiet and silent. Just about everybody's smiling out there. Okay, we'll go.
This is for the rezone thing, correct?
No, it's
The
just-
next item, item number 1, is a public hearing on a rezone. Yes. Okay, so that's where we're going next. We're going to take public.
Before you go to the public comments, I just have one comment. The legislature is now closed and out of session. And through my professional licensing, they provided me an update of the bills that I probably should take a look at in order to stay current in my profession. And I'm wondering if the Utah League of Cities is going to do the same thing. And if you'll get that to us if it comes out so we can stay current.
Yeah, their next conference is in St. George. And we usually take the council to St. George and they're invited. They'll do another one in September. But if they have a specific outlay of the bills and things we need to watch, we should be able to get that. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's all I
Yep.
wanted to say.
With that, we're going to open up public hearings. A public hearing, item number 1, for a partial rezone of parcels 244 and 42 and 144 and 45, commonly known as Jepson and Perry properties.
Yeah, Chair, just a couple of things. Scarlett's on. If you wanted to if you wanted to have her do a overview of the piece before, you could have her do that. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know she's on, and depending on how you want to introduce that, so the public can have an effective
I think that's a
comment.
good
So,
idea. Normally we have to do that under action items.
yeah.
But
So
since it's a public hearing, we ought to have her do it before.
anyway, just as a thought.
Scarlett, can you do that for us and do an overview for the public hearing on item number 1?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Thanks.
Okay, all right. This is a request to rezone properties owned by Jeppa and Joni Jepson and Cannon and Nisha Perry. It's lot 42 in the Spring Creek Meadows subdivision and lot 45 in the Spring Creek Meadows subdivision. And the staff report discusses a little bit of history of those lots, but I would like to read the statement that the applicants provided. It says, we would like to rezone our properties to allow for the building of attached multifamily housing. We think it will serve a great need in this neighborhood, Providence, and Cache Valley in general, for which we will add some part in helping with the supply shortage and high costs of housing. This will be a nice secluded area for families to have the city center, for families to have near the city center, but still have privacy. So that's the statement that the property owners provided. The property is currently zoned single family residential, which means a minimum of 10,000 square foot lots. Twin homes are also allowed in single family residential. And there is a twin homes, to split the twin home in half, they're each on 6,000 square foot lots. So, but they are joined by a common wall. So they have a 0 lot line on the interior side. What they're asking for is multifamily medium. In single-family residential, they can have 4.25 homes per acre. In multifamily medium, they cannot have single-family homes. They can have single-family attached, which is like townhomes and condominiums, or they can have multifamily homes, but they can't have detached single-family homes. In the multifamily medium density, they can have up to 12 units per acre. So there'd be an increase in the number of units, not necessarily a lot in the building size, but definitely in the number of units with multifamily medium. The staff report also includes a comparison between the uses that are allowed in single-family residential and the uses allowed in multifamily medium as well. And it gave a comparison of the area regulations such as setbacks, lot size, square footage, and whatnot. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer those. We also received one comment by email, and I sent that to Ty. And I think maybe if it's okay with you, when you feel the time's appropriate, when you start taking public comments, then Ty could read the email we received earlier from Allison Oates. It was sent to our proper email address, so it's one that qualifies to be read into the meeting, should you so choose.
Anything else?
No, other than we have followed the state code for the rezone process. Ty's done a great job of making sure he got notices out. So just a little bit, the steps, you'll hold the public hearing. After the public has given you their thoughts and concerns on the matter, then you can do a couple of things. You could make a recommendation to approve the request. You could make a a recommendation to deny the request. You could make a recommendation to continue if you feel like you need more time to think about everything that the public has said. If you want to do go look at the property again or whatnot, so you could continue your decision. Or during the course of the discussions, if you talk about an alternate zone of lesser density, you could perhaps recommend a different zone rather than multifamily medium, maybe single family high or multifamily residential, something like that. I'm not saying that you have to do any of those. Well, you need to do one of the four. I'm just saying those are the options that you will have. But keep in mind, for you and the public, you're the recommending body, and the council is actually the body that will change the zone if the zone is changed. So we'll have to go to council for final action.
Okay, thank you, Scarlett. Let's hold on. Are you on the? Okay, we're going to start. We're going to go down the list here. Vicki Cressy. Okay, come on up. Ask Scarlett and go ahead and tell us what you want us to hear.
Well, one of my questions.
If you'll just announce your name in it, and then.
My name is Vicki Creasy. And one of the questions that I had, I went to look at the information that's on the Providence web page, and it shows the application dated in November as single family detached properties. It doesn't show anything about a multifamily on that web page. Is there a reason why?
Scarlett?
Actually, I'm going to have to defer that to Ty. Ty, do you know what we posted on the website? I'll look really quickly.
November is what the application is showing.
I'm assuming that was their first attempt.
That then was recorded on record on the web page from that point.
That I can't remember. I would
Yes.
have to.
The discussion is changed on what type of zoning they would like.
Right.
And there's been discussion at least twice before on this particular item. So it could have been one of the others. Currently, it's single family residential.
Right.
And the request here is to rezone a subdivision, rezone these two parcels.
Okay, and know that I am adjacent to that property. I have a lot of concerns, but primarily this is an interblock development that you're talking about multifamily properties. It is extremely rare to see that in an interblock development surrounded primarily by single family homes. You're going to need to do streetlights. The streetlights are going to shine right in the back bedrooms of those single family residences, especially that are the 2 stories. I have a huge concern for the traffic because I live, can you show the map?
This is a lot that we're talking, these two are the lots.
Right, okay. What I'm concerned about, 150 North coming around the corner with the exit going out on 2nd North. One house is there. There is a bus, school bus that comes out at 7:15 every morning during the school year. You have traffic, and I don't know how many multifamilies you're talking about, but that's a lot of cars that's coming out during that time schedule in front of that bus. And you can put a stop sign there, but still, is there enough time as the bus turns the corner? If a car's already gone, will the bus stop in time? I'm also concerned about my own property. I'm blindsided as that traffic comes out and I can't see that traffic. I can see a serious accident that I could be involved with because I'm blindsided to that traffic. The amount of traffic that we're talking about with multifamily. It is a huge concern. You get, and I'm just throwing out, you get, let's say, 15, let's say 10 multifamily. That means 20 cars per household, 2 cars per household,
Okay.
20 cars. 20 cars coming in, 20 cars going out throughout the day, but mostly between work hours, mostly between school hours. Children are coming down that street on 2nd North. Onto that traffic. I'm very concerned about the safety concerns
Okay.
of what that could create. I don't know if there's ever been, and by the way, there's not a street light there at all. So it's dark, it's black. I'm concerned about the road being wide enough. There's on-street parking during the time other than winter. So the one neighbor, they park their vehicles on both sides. That means there's only one lane that's going to accommodate that much traffic during those months that we're not in the winter. I could kind of go on and on about my concerns. I'm concerned about the fence going around. The fence is falling down all the way around the complex. It's fallen down. It's fallen down where I'm at. So we're talking about new fence going all the way around the subdivision. That's it. And it's gotta be maintenance free because the fence has never been maintained. I also have my roadway coming out of my shop right here. Again, right into the line of that traffic. I've been there for 45 years. And I am so deeply concerned about how it's going to affect the area, what it's going to do for traffic. I'm also concerned about trying to do a development in there with that heavy equipment. Where's that equipment going to go? Our street has many signs of wear and tear. It's been repaired. Providence City has been great about coming in and repairing all the cracks, but obviously heavy equipment's going to be huge. There's no other place for that heavy equipment. If in fact it's approved, I firmly believe you've got to have two exits, one coming out on Bluff Street and one coming out on 2nd North, because that's the only way I think you can safely accommodate that kind of traffic in order to be safe. And that's a huge concern. I will also mention being in lending for over 40 years, mortgage lending. Right now, I consider this a flag lot. Lenders hate flag lots financing. Because again, you've got a private road, one entrance coming in with the interblock development. So the question is, how will the financing industry handle that? We've approved flag lots, but we have to find comparables subject to a like property within a flag lot so they can determine if the value is going to be affected in that subdivision. So I guess I've said enough, but as you can tell, living there for 45 years, it's a huge concern to me. Just a huge concern. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you very much. Nisha, Mary. This is public hearing. We're not here to suggest anything. We're here to listen in this portion of the meeting.
Okay. Well, if it's okay, I just prepared maybe a statement in 3 minutes.
Sure.
Okay, I'll get started then.
You can do it.
Okay. My name's Nisha Perry. I'm representing my husband Cannon and the Jepsons in this application. Our application is a request to rezone our backyard of our lot and a lot of the Jepsons that is adjacent to our backyard. The two of them together is just over an acre. As you can see, the access to the land is off of that 200 North, which is a block away from the main road. We just wanted to clarify that we're not planning to tear down our house or use access from the cul-de-sac for this development. There was a little confusion based on the lines drawn on the map in the letter that was sent out by the city. We got a few phone calls about that. Again, my understanding of a flag lot is maybe different. To me, a flag lot is coming off of the same street as your house. So I wanted to clarify that there's not anything happening in the cul-de-sac. The zone we're applying for is multifamily medium. So like Scarlett said, this zone allows for 12 units per acre. Again, we have over an acre with our divided or together with our backyards. The design would be townhomes. So let me just maybe set a stage a little bit about our neighborhood. And I think the council has maybe done the research already. But the type of housing in our neighborhood right now is very mixed. We have townhomes with Hidden Creek. We have townhomes with Spring Creek. We have twin homes. We have single family homes with and without garages. We have an assisted living center at Providence Place. Not far off, we have a PUD development in Cottage Court. We also have a fourplex just a block outside of our backyard to the east. Adding townhomes in that space would not be far off from the natural look and feel of the neighborhood and would not, in our opinion, would not have a negative impact on property values because of the mixed nature and zoning of the current neighborhood. Also, there's an overarching issue of housing availability and affordability. I think they go hand in hand. As of today, there's 51 homes on the market in all of Cache Valley. There's a population in Cache Valley of 133,000 people. So 51 homes to service that many people is not good. And as you know, the price of homes is increasing really at a dangerous pace. In my opinion, the only way out of this housing shortage is to build more homes. Affordability comes with building non-traditional homes like townhomes. Here's the thing, everybody hates townhomes, but I'll tell you what, I've walked through a lot of townhomes in my profession, and there are some fabulous townhomes that in a lot of ways can be nicer than attached homes, especially when the price point can be lower. They'll have garages, they'll have family rooms, you know, they're roomy, they can be upgraded inside, the outside can look nice, and especially with HOA restrictions and maintenance, a lot of times they can look better than detached homes that don't have any of those restrictions. With all this being said, I want to mention this. With all this being said, we are sensitive to the concerns of density. We have listened to the neighbors. We've heard what they've said. That's why we did actually put in a submission about single family high at one point to the council. Because of road width restrictions, it just didn't make any sense to do single family high to us. So that's why we've come back with this plan. But we're also open to multifamily residential. So Scarlett mentioned that as well. That would be less units per acre, 7 units per acre, and could also provide for some detached single family homes. So we're open to that idea as well, because again, you know, we do understand that density is probably the biggest concern for people. So that's probably all I have to say. I hope I did it within 3 minutes.
You did, fine. Thank you very much. Okay, next on our list is John. You better come up and tell me your name and microphone. Wait,
My name is John Wallin.
Wallin. Okay, thanks. Go ahead, John.
Yes, I live just north of Vicky. My concern is all of them homes they've already built down on the other end of our road have already caused a lot of problems for me, for safety issues. But there's also lots of people walking their dogs with their children on that corner. And I spent years looking for a home where I wanted to live in a neighborhood where it's not apartments. That's a real big concern for me. It's a real quiet neighborhood. We don't have a lot of problems. And that corner is a very big safety issue. I've heard of one person almost came around that corner and went through a house because of the snow. There's people driving down that corner extremely fast already from those apartments down the street. We already have a problem with that. But my biggest issue is opening up that corner right there to more traffic safety. We have a quiet neighborhood. I would like to keep it that way. And so that's my biggest concern.
Okay, thank you, John.
You bet.
Next on the list is Ben Owen.
Hello, my name is Ben Owen. And I live at 185 West, 225 North, just north on the other side of the road on the 225 North, roughly 260 feet from the property. 8 years ago, our family was looking for a place to live in this particular spot. We really liked it. It was quiet. The nature of that road with the kink in it really prevents a lot of people from going through there, choosing that as kind of a shortcut to get to where they want to go. My concern with it is, like I said, I have a young family, and they play a lot on that road between their friends and the neighbor kids. I worry that if we increase the traffic there, it's really going to create quite a problem. Because that 225 North kind of gives you good access over to the road just to the north of us, kind of that main thoroughfare. And they're going to use that 225 North as the kind of the shortcut to get over that way, avoiding streetlights, things people typically tend to do. And that's I worry about the noise, it's having more people, the general feel of the neighborhood. I feel like we have this kind of micro community there. And I feel that if we were to increase the traffic, increase the noise, it would make me question whether that's a place I would want to continue to live or not. I wouldn't want my kids there. There's a lot of reasons like I wouldn't want my kids. I hate to change that neighborhood. I've really come to love it over the last few years. So in conclusion, I oppose this rezoning. I think it should stay single family. I'm fine with single families, build a couple houses there, that's fine with me, but let's not make it denser than it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Whitney Bingham, is that correct? Which one?
Brittany,
Brittany,
I have a quick clarifying, oh, sorry,
in the microphone.
Brittany Bingham,
Thank you.
and I have a quick clarifying question. My husband sent email comments this morning at 8:30 to Providence City, Utah@gmail.com. Is that not the correct email address? He's homesick with a bad cold.
It is, I'll pull it
Tell
up. And I know we have one to read that we were,
him- Is it from
No,
Brian?
Oh,
but,
I've got it on the list here.
so, but I'll pull it up. I'll look and pull it up. So,
Okay,
cool.
okay, sounds great.
Well,
I just want to make sure, because I'm just gonna echo his sentiments that he sent to me email this morning. So just to clarify, we live at 178 West, 150 North. Both my husband and I are opposed to the proposed rezone of both of the parcels from single family residential to multifamily medium. Our property shares a border with Cannon and Nisha Perry's property as well. We purchased our home in 2006 and we have occupied our home since that time. We've raised our 2 children there and we have thoroughly enjoyed our house, the neighborhood, and the lot. We desired to live in a neighborhood that was owner occupied, single family homes with larger lots, with rooms for gardens and our children play areas, and had consistent long-term neighbors. And plus it was close to the schools and the parks. Again, we have been very happy to raise our family in that neighborhood. We are opposed to the rezone for the following reasons. The current zoning of single-family residential has served the neighborhood for well over 25 years. It has encouraged owner occupancy and long-term occupation. Many of the homes are occupied by the original owners, or in our case, the second owners. We purchased our house from the original owners. The Providence City Master Plan states that this neighborhood is anticipated to remain single-family residential, and it is not part of any future rezoning plans that are included in your master plan. Home ownership is a significant investment, and it is reasonable for home purchasers to expect that their zoning designations within the boundaries of an established 25-year neighborhood will remain the same. Again, we are opposed to this being subdivided, and we are not opposed to the Perrys and the Jepsons' right to develop that property. There is a solution that can fit everybody. It can fit the Providence City, the Planning Commission, the neighbors, the surrounding neighbors, as well as the Perrys and the Jepsons. And that is to keep it single-family residential. Again, there is not any reason why the zoning needs to change. Thank you.
thanks for bringing that up. It wasn't spam. We do have 2 more comments that I found
Okay.
through the spam. So
Let's start with Allison's comment. Tyler, would you like to read that?
It's from Allison Olson. This letter is in regard to the rezoning of partial 02-144-0042 and 02-144-0045. We have zoning for a reason, and it should not be changed unless there is a very valid reason. If the reason for changing this zone to multifamily units is to offer more affordable housing or to help families get into the buying market, I feel this is not valid. For the most part, multifamily units end up being rentals. Rentals do not help people get into the buying market. If anything, the high cost of rent keeps people from being able to ever buy. We need homes. We have our share of multi-unit housing and rentals in Providence, and the people of Providence have voiced their concern for this. Perhaps this area would be good for smaller homes. I am also concerned for the future residents. The roads should be ones maintained by the city, so the future residents don't have extra costs. They need green space and enough extra parking if you do let this zoning pass. Please consider the current residents and the future residents in your decisions. Thank you so much for all you do, Allison Olson.
Okay. Number 2,
All right. Dear members of the Planning Commission,
Who's this?
my name is Brian Bingham. It said it, anyway, it was the first line. That's why I didn't introduce it. So I knew it was going to get right there. My name is Brian Bingham. My wife and I are the property owners of a home and lot located at 178 West, 150 North, Providence, Utah, in Spring Creek Meadows development. I am writing to you to express my opposition to the proposed rezone of parts of parcels 02-144-0442 and 02-144-0045 located in the area of 177 West, 150 North, Providence, Utah, from single-family residential to multifamily medium. Our property shares a border with the aforementioned parcel 02-144-0042 owned by Cannon and Niche Perry. My wife and I purchased our home in 2006 and have occupied our home with our 2 children since that time. We purchased our home in the Spring Creek Meadows subdivision because of its zoning of single-family residential. We desire to live in a neighborhood of owner-occupied single-family homes with large lots with room for gardens and children play areas, consistent with long-term neighbors, and close to schools and parks. We have been very happy to raise our family in our neighborhood. I'm opposed to the rezone for the following reasons. The current zoning of single-family residential has served the neighborhood very well for over 25 years. It has encouraged owner-occupied and long-term occupation. Many of the homes are occupied by the original owners, or in our case, the second owners we purchased from the original owners. The Providence City and General Plan states that this neighborhood is anticipated to remain single-family residential and is not part of any future rezone plan. Home ownership is a very significant investment and it is a reasonable for home purchase to expect that zoning designations within the boundaries of established 25-year neighborhoods remain as per the original general plan designation. I'm opposed to the 02-144-0442 and 02-144-0045 parcels being subdivided and developed with single-family residential lots and homes, as this would respect the, I'm not opposed to any, would respect the property rights of the current property owners and also be consistent with the current zone and culture of the neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration. I look forward to hearing your decision. Respectfully, Brian Bingham, 178 West, 150 North, Providence, Utah. Fair enough. All right, and I found one other one. This is Bryce Larson. To those concerned, I own the property and home at 180 West, 225 North, which is one of the many single-family homes that surround this parcel of land. We are strongly against the motion to rezone the single-family home property connected to our backyard. We purchased our home in 2014 with the understanding that all of the surrounding properties would remain single-family homes. We were also informed and witnessed that the land in question floods every year, so that is why nothing was built on it. We never would have purchased our property if we knew townhomes would be built right next to our backyard. This action will greatly reduce the resale value and appeal of all of the surrounding single-family homes, not to mention the massive disruption and crowding of people and vehicles right in our backyard. If the action is passed, I will be selling my home and leaving Providence City, as this action benefits one local at the expense of all of the surrounding homeowners, and could not trust that the same thing would not happen in any other single-family home neighborhood in the city. Thanks, Bryce Larson.
Ryan, or Chairman Ryan,
Go ahead.
there's actually one more letter, but I keep getting a little notice that my internet connection is not great. So a plug for when we get fiber. I'm going to be really excited. But Ryan, can you see, I moved this from it. That was really strange that 3 emails went to the spam. And actually the time frame that they showed up was this afternoon. So I don't know why that happened. But Ryan, I put one in there from Jen.Larson81. Can you see that one in the inbox now?
Yes, I can.
Do you want to read that
You-
since my connection's
You want me
shaky?
to read it or you want to? She's here, so we'll let her handle it on her own then. If there's others, we'll search and look for them, apparently. So,
Larson, my husband and Bryce. My husband and I live on 180 West 225 North, and that is. Make sure. I don't know where I'm at. Right here. Right here. So the lot that is being proposed is right here. And right here. So it's directly into my backyard. It's taken a lot for me to get out today. As you can see, I'm fighting cancer and I'm very sick. But this means so much to me because my husband and I, we were looking for a good home. We were looking for a good home. We already lived in a townhome, apartments. We did not want that anymore. We wanted single family to raise our family. We wanted an established neighborhood. That's why we bought older and didn't build brand new or move into a new development. We loved the yard. It gave us, the trees, the beautiful trees. It gave us the garden area, and having apartments right back there would, it would take away our privacy too. They've been talking about adding private, and it would be private for other people, but at what expense? At my expense, that's the other neighbors along that share that property line. It's at all of our expenses. And I'm against it. I'm very upset this has come to light. I spent a lot of time in my backyard. I spent a lot of time in my bedrooms back there. So the traffic, the lights would just not make it feasible. It would be really, really difficult. And our dream was to always live in Providence. And if this happened, we would feel like we would have to leave and sell our house.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come on, I got a question for you. I'm going to have you represent the public here.
Okay.
Just about everybody that's been against this rezoning has mentioned that they don't like the idea of the townhomes and apartments being in their neighborhood. What about the ones that are down the street from you? Why were those not a hindrance to buying your home now? Oh, you can in a minute. Yeah, let's just ask Jen first.
Because that specific area that is the block was all single family. And yeah, there was
The next
townhomes
block.
down there. Yeah. And that was fine. That was already there. There was nothing we could do about it because we moved there in 2014. But we were under the understanding that the back lot that the Jepsons own, it floods for one. And it was the understanding that nothing was going to be built there. And so that was one of the reasons why we purchased it there, because of the big backyards.
Okay, thanks. Nikki, would you like to come back up?
Yes, I was just gonna say, the one twin home is this one. And this, I believe, is Jepson's.
No, that's
The other one?
the other one's a
It's
regular.
the cul-de-sac.
Okay, I'm sorry. The property that was gonna be part of this, okay. But this is the only twin home that's across the street, but not within our single family dwellings. Not anywhere except for this home in this development. So it's the only one there, the only single family or excuse me, the only twin home that's there.
So how close would it be okay to have a condo or a townhome?
With the inner, again, you're talking about an interblock development. It's
So I'm just saying that there's condos there just a half a block away.
But
you don't.
this
that's
doesn't
okay,
impact the traffic like this would. It doesn't impact the traffic, the noise, the lights. It's just a combination of everything.
Can I allow people that have not signed up?
You certainly can. Public hearing, you can certainly have whoever you want. We go in the order that way so that they can have some order, but
Okay, we've got, go ahead. Where'd you go, Janae?
My name is Janae Pratt. I've lived in Providence for 40 years. I've grown up here. I've seen the development of Providence and the growth. The difference between the structures that you're talking about is that they were created on multi-acre properties that could support the infrastructure of large family, multi-family developments. The Hidden Creek right there, it's already in an area with multi-family homes. So it makes sense to have that there. Just down the street around the corner is the Spring Creek townhomes. That was, again, a multi-family, massive acreage to be able to develop, and the streets, the infrastructure, everything was designed around that to be able to support it. To put a multi-family home in this area, that street is not designed. The infrastructure was never in place to add an extra 40 to 50 cars a day going in and out multiple times a day. It's going to create wear and tear on that street. As you can see, there is no sidewalk developed on that street. So it creates a massive issue for anybody wanting to walk down that street. And if we have an extra 12 families, they're going to want to walk. So it is another hazard to come off that street because there's no infrastructure to support that, and it creates a safety hazard. If you go up the street, we have the retirement home, and again, the I think they are twin homes that was developed again on multi-acreage areas that could be easily accessed, and the infrastructure could be developed to support it. In this lot, it's not there to be able to support it. We'd have to redo the road to be able to create that or support the added traffic. We'd have to have sidewalks, and as Vicki said, lighting would have to be added down that street. It doesn't make sense to have multifamily in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Larissa Nyman. Larissa, how is your family related to?
Oh no, I hope I can answer this. I have been married for 10 years, so hopefully.
Intermission here. Lloyd Nyman.
Lloyd Nyman? I haven't met him. If so.
He's gone now. But
oh, okay. Well, that would be why I haven't met him. Yes, you know.
They're all married to somebody, and that could have been you.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, my husband has 7 siblings, so it could even be one of his siblings, and I have no idea.
Okay, we'll move on.
Yes, I live at 170 West.
And state your name,
oh,
please.
sorry, Larissa Nyman.
Okay.
I live at 170 West, 225 North. So the Perry's house is actually in my backyard. So the two lots are my backyard. I am probably going to give a different kind of view that you probably haven't heard tonight. Yes, I am against it, but I'm against it because I think of the kids. I have a 5-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, and I have one due next week. We have over 10 kids on our street. And from what I know, most of my neighbors are here. They're not leaving anytime soon. Do I want extra cars on my road? No, I don't. We bought this house 3 years ago, and I told Reggie, I will vouch this for myself. I am a very opinionated person. I told Reg, I said, I want a cul-de-sac. And he said, why do you want a cul-de-sac? What's the big deal? And I said, my kids are safer on a cul-de-sac. This is as close as I could get to a cul-de-sac with the options I had. You would honestly be taking that away from our whole neighborhood. I take pride that I can say to my little boys, you can ride your bike to the corner and ride back, and I know they are safe. That would take away every ounce of safety I feel for my kids. Also, our street, we all own our homes. And I don't know if the townhomes are going to be rented out. I don't know if they're going to be sold. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. at
Yeah,
this
it
point.
doesn't. Yeah, no, it doesn't. We have one rental on our street, and it just turned into a rental a year ago. I have called on dispatch on them over 5 times because of the noise I hear, because of the traffic on the road, because of the cars parked on the road, and because of the house isn't getting taken care of. I say this proudly, dispatch knows my voice because of how many times I've called. And I'm sorry, but you'll hear my voice even more with the noise that will go on behind me. I don't hold back at all. I'd like to think I'm a civil neighbor, right, Ben, maybe? But when they become a nuisance, it's not a neighborhood anymore. So the problems I'm seeing is safety. I like to know that everybody on the street is safe. And my goodness, we're building townhomes in the middle of homes. I don't see the need. I did reach out to my realtor, and I love him to death. He told me I could drop his name, Kent Dunkley. I'm sure you guys he lives here in Providence. And I just asked him, I said, Kent, what will this do to my value of my home? And he said, first, I can't give you a number because nobody can do that at this point. But he said, it will drop the value of your home. Now, am I planning on selling? No, I'm not. But if I needed to sell, would I care about the value of my home? You bet I would. He also said, there's absolutely no need for 10 to 15 townhomes. He's like, a greater need, yes. 12 is not even going to make a dent. He said, there's absolutely no need. I'm a teacher at Spring Creek. Every time I look out my classroom window, I see over 300 townhomes that were built. I don't see a need for 12 more townhomes. Any questions for me?
Nope.
No, one more thing. My dear husband, we made a deal. I would come and talk, and he would gather signatures. He's at a jazz game, so he obviously picked the better route. So he has signatures. Not all of our neighbors could make it, but I can say with absolute confidence, all of our neighbors are against this, and they all signed the paper. But they're not here, I know. But so if you'd like this, I'm more than willing to give it to you.
We'll attach it to the notes.
Okay. You made the better end of the deal, for sure.
Well, maybe I'll go away.
So this is a survey, this is a petition noting that the action to change the zoning on these 2 parcels from single-family residential, a partial rezoning from single-family residential to multifamily medium. And the petition is here with quite a few signatures on it. And there is probably everybody in the neighborhood and beyond. So thank you very much, Larissa. Robert? How do you say your last name? Montier?
Montier.
Montier.
Christy from the desk, my mom and my dad's. My name is Robert Montier. My wife and I, we live on 187 West, 150 North, just west of the Perrys. And you keep asking about the Hidden Creek apartments over there. They are in a different subdivision altogether. And as Brian mentioned in his email, that our subdivision was supposed to be designated for single family single family homes. And so changing that changes what the subdivision is. And that's why a lot of us are against that, because it's changing the structure of our subdivision. We used to live in Logan on 2nd North, 3rd West. And over there, there's a lot of homes, like every 3rd or 4th homes, some kind of multi-unit or duplex or triplex and things like that. And it's just a hodgepodge, and it lowers the value of the homes when you got a lot of homes and all of a sudden just mixture of whatever they can cram in there. And we're afraid it's gonna be that way for us. It's like we have homes that have been set out and set apart like this, and all of a sudden somebody's gonna try to cram homes in. And we've lived here for almost 7 years now, and we were, you could say, busting at the seams. We have 6 kids, and we were in a 2,000 square foot home. About 3 years ago, we finished adding on almost 1,300 square feet. As you can see by our picture, we've also added on. So we added on the entire back of this house here. We did a couple retaining walls here, and we just finished up doing a drive on the side of our house for our party. We love it here. We want to stay here, and that's why we decided to invest in our property and increase it and make it more livable. So it's an area that we really like to be in. We would have known it's going to be more high density stuff. So we might have considered other options, but we like being here. We want to stay here and leave the zoning as it is. And as we were saying, we're afraid that Cache County is on a building spree, trying to get as many homes in as possible. We don't want Providence to end up being like Logan, where they're going to start having brownouts because they don't have enough infrastructure to support the city. We don't want that to happen here. And yeah, we just.
Now you live real close to that twin home.
Our home is right here. So
we're right
they
there.
actually are
Yes.
two sides of us.
And then
We love our neighbors, I want to tell you. We love our neighbors a lot. We're just really worried about.
they're all here.
So,
So Robert, you've got kitty corner from you. There's a place there called Twin Homes Investments that owns the property. So I'm guessing it's a rental.
They own the south part, I own the north part.
You're in the north.
Yeah.
So there is a twin home in your neighborhood already.
Yes,
You're aware of
there's
that.
twin. So,
And then there's all the condos there on.
but that's under the single family residential zoning.
You're right, it
So,
is.
and the subdivision set for that. You know, we've been, as Brian said, it's been told that it was supposed to stay like that. So that's why we want to keep it like that as well. But we've talked to the Perrys about it before. Yeah, we're fine if they want to, it's their property, they can develop on it, but zoning that it's at.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
I've got a question. I want to make sure I understand this. So the twin home investments, there's not a twin home on
No.
parcel 47. That's just the name of the property owner, and you're the property owner on the north.
Yeah, me and my husband. Yeah.
Your name.
I was gonna say,
I'm Stephanie Allred. I think my name actually got skipped over on the list because I signed in.
You signed on the other one for attendance. This one is for speaking.
All right, well.
Okay, I'll give you 6 minutes.
I'll take it. Learning experience, I guess. Okay, I own the much talked about now twin home there that's on the north.
You're in the north side of the twin home.
Yes, 202
Okay.
Bluff Street.
Thank you.
And we have owned that for about 8 years now. And we have nothing against, like of all people, we understand the need for more affordable housing. We bought this house 8 years ago when the market was low enough for us to afford it on my husband's teaching salary. And so, I mean, you know, like we understand that. The problem is the main people buying multifamily homes at this time are investors. Our next door neighbor, when they sold, it's now a rental home.
with very transient residents due to like, yeah, it's twin home investments. Like,
So it's
I
around-
feel like it's pretty obvious
Okay.
here. What, and I know he's not the only one who just does that for his living. And he's told us that if we ever want to sell, he'll be all over it. I'm sure that there will be investors looking at that, at the multifamily homes in there, and they will be bought up not by single families. Like there may be like one or two, if there's, yeah, like if there's 12, like there may be a few, I don't have numbers, but most are rentals, and there are really, really eager investors out there right now who can make a killing on rent, which goes to the opposite direction of affordable housing. From a personal perspective, you can see our backyard. We actually have a 1/4 acre right there. But our backyard there is, we've got like 15 feet. And then we hit the Jepson's property. And we also have a ditch. The reason why we have a 1/4 acre is because they couldn't build anything further up to the north, because there's a ditch that comes out from the two properties in question to drain it. And since we have lived there for 8 years, there have been times when that ditch has gotten like almost a foot of water in it. But not only that, we are in a mega drought right now. Now is not the time to be trying to decide whether this place is dry enough all of a sudden to build, because I'm assuming that they're planning on building them there for a long period of time. And I mean, yeah, God willing, this drought will end someday. And when it does, I really think it needs to be reevaluated before anything is built there. I may be misunderstanding, I don't know if, but I heard that the assessment was for whether it was a wetland anymore or not was done by the people who are planning on building it.
Wetlands are designed and managed in sorts of by the Army Corps of Engineers, and the city goes by whatever they say.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess I'm really concerned about the fact that, I mean, like, it already floods occasionally. How are they planning on bringing in a lot of dirt to build up the land there? Because that's the only reason why our house is okay right there. So several years ago, almost every single house in this neighborhood flooded. And the
whole city was there to help.
I know, yeah, it was
great.
It was great, but we don't want to do that again. And, you know, and we really don't want to do that with even more people in an even more vulnerable position. And I mean, these are my potential future neighbors. Like, I care about our neighborhood. I care about our neighbors. Like, watching them go through that flooding and trying to help them, that was awful. Like, and if there are houses that are built there, I'll be there to help them with the flooding. But it just seems insane to assume that there's not going to be flooding when
I don't think I haven't heard any assumptions about that.
And let's see. Okay, so I think other than that, like, the main things have already been covered by other people. And
You agree with them?
yeah, I do. I agree that this, I mean, and I also want to say that, like, I love the Jepsons and I love the Perrys, and I am completely for their right to, as was said, to develop their property. If I just do not think that trying to put 12 homes in that tiny little area right there, with lights shining over my 15 feet of backyard. Oh yeah, all but one of my house's windows face into the backyard. So if there are townhomes right there, like from a personal point of view, that's just gonna like bottom out my my home value, especially if we get into more of talking about building a road through my property right there. Like that's just it, like the potential for completely destroying my house that I've heard here tonight is just it's not good. So yeah, I'm very much opposed to this as I do not think that it meets the I do not think it will meet the stated desires for its need for affordable housing. And I think that it that yeah, like everybody in the neighborhood has shown up and signed the petition. And so nobody wants it. Everybody's concerned about where it's being built. I think that this needs to be reassessed.
Thank you. Come on up.
I signed the wrong paper.
Okay. As long as you have a name.
My name's Joni Jepson, and I might not be popular with some, but anyway, I totally understand what everybody's saying. And I love my backyard. I love the great big huge willow trees and the space and stuff. And I understand everybody's concerns. I do. And my husband and I have talked, and nothing's going to get built on our part anyway, unless I die. So I don't know if that makes anybody more comfortable or not, but we weren't planning on building anything. We just wanted to rezone in case, like, way down the line that ever came up. And I understand that because I know that people need space, people need green space. When I look at those, I don't know what they are, maybe townhomes over there where they took out the mini golf place, I just cry because it looks like a prison to me, because there's no place for kids to play. It's just cement, and it looks terrible to me. And anyway, I just wanted to get my opinion out because I feel the same way about when you have a yard and you want privacy and it gives you peace. That's important. I know it's important to have places where people can live too, but anyway, I just wanted to say that because we weren't planning on like building, unless, like I say, if I die, you'll know that they'll do it. So that's
Thank you. And we can come back up that's spoken. We're going to close this in a few minutes, but you need to restate your name.
Larissa Nyman. So I'm kind of confused now. I'm actually very confused. Are those 12 townhomes just being put? I thought you said they have an acre together.
There's an acre there roughly, and the request is to rezone it to multifamily medium.
So, but from
that's it. There's no talk about. We can't talk about buildings at this point. Can't talk about subdividing that piece of property at this point. We're talking about taking those two parcels partially, and they'll need to subdivide it first. But making a new parcel or two and rezoning those to multifamily.
Okay, I understand, but this takes it to a whole new level. Because if she doesn't want to build on her property, that means I'm going to have 12 townhomes on the Perry's property.
No.
And then, or no.
It's proportional to
Okay,
that.
so it's going to
spot.
still be, okay, that's
Proportional.
what I was worried about. But that is funny because that's not how we were presented at all.
It's on the agenda and on the application that it wants to be zoned multifamily.
We just understood, and I hope I'm talking for everybody, that it was going to be developed, all of it.
Well, I don't know. We're just talking about a rezone. Could they develop it? Yes. Could they ask to be agriculture and put horses on it? Yes. They could do a lot of things. But once it goes to multifamily medium, then they have the right to put on a lot of homes. And so
But
our
12 is still the max.
on
12 per acre.
Right. So that's what the application's for. That's what we're discussing tonight.
Okay.
Let me just clarify what the application
cool.
says according to Scarlett's report. It says the applicant is asking that the original 2.23 acre remains single family residence and that the northeast 0.37 acre be changed to multifamily. That's paragraph 2B of the summary of key issues on the first page. Just to clarify for the public.
Would you be able to bring that up by chance on the screen for us?
I can't, but.
I can. You didn't realize which person was behind it. Yeah, I can bring that up. Sure. 2B.
They talk about lot 42, which I understand is the Perry's. And then lot 45, 45 is Perry's, 42. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with James. Jepson, sorry, my apologies.
Would I be, could I come up and just maybe shed some light on this?
Go ahead.
Nisha Perry. Our original application did not include the Jepsons because they had expressed, especially Joni had expressed the same opinion. That was like back in September when we went ahead and submitted the application. They had sort of together asked to be included on the next application. So, you know, it's okay. They have differences of opinions together about what they want to do. So Joni has stated how she wants to have that happen, and that's probably what will happen because the woman's always right and always gets what she wants. So again, I just want to clarify it's proportional. So if they are saying that they will never build something, that's actually better for a lot of the concerns because that means there would be less units on the property.
That's correct. But once it's multifamily, she can change her mind. Okay, we've run into this time and time. Every time we come up and want to do a rezone, once we rezone it, they can do anything they want to with it. How are you? Civil enough for you. Have we been civil?
I'm Frank Cole, and I live at 145, right in the corner there on 225. I'm 3 houses north of Mr. Creasy. My feeling is we should leave it as is because it's a disadvantage to many houses. And I don't really see a real advantage for the city as a whole. And I would like to say that the comments about the traffic, I agree with. There are a lot of kids on our street, and it's already dangerous because they come whipping around. It's already dangerous. And my opinion is the only reason that we haven't had a serious accident is because there's not that much traffic. If you increase the traffic, there will be an accident because they come whipping around. I'll show you where I'm at. I'm right here. And they come whipping around here. It's already dangerous for the kids. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Frank.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
Stephanie Allred again. I actually, on the note of traffic, just 2 days ago, and this is one of many times I was almost in an accident on that sharp turn right there. Because there were 2 cars parked on the other side of the street and a truck stopped right in the middle of the road to drop somebody off, because that's just what happens on that street. And so we went to turn the corner and just about ended up rear-ending somebody who was just hanging out in the road. Because it's a pretty blind, sharp corner right there. It is not at all conducive to adding any more traffic there at all. You'd have to change the entire road. This would become a major problem down the line, and a headache for people in the city offices, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Can I ask a question of the applicant?
Yeah, of course you can.
I'm curious if the applicant has looked to see how many units they can actually fit when they've put in the road, put in the offset. I'm just curious if they've done the comparison between a concept for the multifamily medium and the current zoning. I'm just kind of curious if that's been comparing setbacks and some of the things. I know that that's not the area of this and the scope of this. So it's just a question of, have you looked at the comparison of what you can do with it, what you got versus what you're applying, and how many units really different that is. I mean, I look, if we look at it, and just as brief for the audience here, if we look at it and the property gets zoned, a 66-foot right-of-way is probably going to be required for the road because you'll have to finish both sides. And then the setback of 15 feet. So we're talking the area down in this area being the buildable envelope, right? I just kind of curious, and obviously this one could access to that cul-de-sac or that end of the street. I'm just curious if you've made that. You don't have to show it. That's not part of the application. I just kind of curious if that has been looked at, the comparison of those. Yeah.
Not in any depth to really say. I mean, we looked at so many options and drawn out concept plans for so many options that I really can't say.
That's fine.
Penciled it down to the dime, which one is more profitable and a better business decision or something, Yeah.
No, I just asked. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments before we close this public hearing on this rezoning? Okay, come on up.
Going once, twice.
Tamara Larson. The only thing I'm really wanting to say on the whole thing, I agree with a lot of people. When I was kind of one of the first ones that came in the neighborhood, and I'm like on the front road. But initially, when I wanted to buy that lot, I was told no, because it was supposed to be a park back there. They were supposed to be building a park back in that area. And so, because I grew up in a field, I'll tell you that right now. So I wanted some of the land, but when I asked about purchasing that lot, it was no, we are putting a park back there. So that's all.
Do you remember who told you that? The real estate agent?
Well, it was Mountain.
Matt. There you go.
Just
So-
curious.
Yeah,
Just
I
curious.
know.
Okay. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing on the partial rezoning of 2-144-42 and 2-144-45. Thank you for your comments and for your attendance tonight. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We are going to discuss, and there is a motion tonight. We're going to discuss it next. We'll go ahead and go to item 2. The action item, or the legislative item we call it, is the rezoning recommendation for parcels 2-144-42 and 2-144-45, also known as the Jepson and Perry properties. We've had a summary given to us by Scarlett. Unless Scarlett wants to give us something else, we'll dispense from your review. Scarlett, is that going to be okay?
The only thing I would add, Brian, and Ryan did a pretty good job of alluding to this, but 12 units per acre is the maximum number of units. But the applicants in any situation are not necessarily guaranteed that maximum number. They have to meet the conditions, as Ryan was talking. They'll have to meet public right of way. They'll have to meet landscaping requirements. They'll have to have parking requirements. So oftentimes, once they get their design in, the units they don't get the maximum number of units. Very seldom are they able to do that, just because of all of the things that have to be subtracted out before they can count the acreage towards the units. It's not a gross acre. It's not 12 units per gross acre. It's 12 units per net acre, which means you have to take out the roadway right off the bat, comes out of that acreage. So then that reduces that down even more. And it is based on a percentage of the property that's being developed, not on the total of the two properties, since they're independent owners and they're not one in the same. At this point, it doesn't sound like they're one in the same developer. So that's all I wanted to say is, yes, 12 units per acre could happen, but it would be very difficult on a piece this small to be able to make that happen and still meet all of the other requirements that they have to meet.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, so we've heard the summary by Scarlett on the work that the staff has performed. Any concerns about the fire department review or the analysis or the application? Those are the 3 documents that we're working with today.
I've got a question for Scarlett. Can you hear me, Scarlett? This is Bob.
Yep, I can hear you.
Aaron Walker's report states that a fire hydrant number 317 may not be within the 600 feet of buildable areas. Will we have to just hang tight on that until we find out where the buildable areas are?
Well, that goes to the design phase. And that's part of what I was saying. There's this, and part of what Brian and Ryan were both saying, there's the zoning phase, and then there's the design phase. And the zoning gives us the broad guidelines, and then the design gives us more detailed guidelines. Yes, it would not be uncommon that they would have to put in another fire hydrant or things like that. But until we get to that design phase and see how the buildings are going to be situated, or the homes, how they're going to be situated, we really can't say that they will definitely have to. But there is a likelihood that they would put another fire hydrant on there in their design.
Questions, concerns? What are your concerns here on this recommendation?
And as a very, very sympathetic to I have townhomes behind me. I live in Vineyard, and I don't mind the townhomes behind me, but I knew when I moved in that the townhomes were going to be there. And so I'm very sympathetic to the comments that folks have made about the character of their neighborhood. And you buy into something and you expect it. And I'm also a big fan of multifamily development, so I appreciate what is attempting to happen here. But when we think about how it applies to the code, my big comment is I have a hard time with creating an island of zoning in that area for a specific purpose in such a small area. I understand that there are some different zones in that, but that single family residential zone is a good concise block, and it creates consistency, even though you called out things like the twin home, they do fit within that current zoning. And I would be concerned about the precedent of picking out one or two parcels and creating a custom or a new zone specifically for that purpose, where another inner block somewhere else may come back and say, well, you did it there, so you need to do it here. So that would be my big concern, is setting a precedent for creating an island of a zone in an area such as this.
Okay. I'm going to bring up a point here. We talked about multifamily medium and the possibility of 12 lots per net acre, which probably won't be possible here. So what other zones are available to us? Multifamily residential, what does that include? I don't know for sure.
7 units per acre.
Okay. And isn't there one more between that and single family residential?
Brian, would you like me to chime in on that?
Yeah, I would, of course, Scarlett.
Multifamily residential is, we have 3, well, actually we have more than 3 multifamily zones, but multifamily residential is the only multifamily zone that allows single family housing. And so if it was zoned multifamily residential and they decided they didn't want to do multifamily, they could do single family homes in there. Then the zone below that is and as Robert said, multifamily residential is 7.25 units per net acre. And then the zone below that would be single family high, which the minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet, and you can have 5.5 units per acre. But you can't have multifamily buildings in single family high. So that's kind of the difference. The multifamily residential is kind of the one multifamily zone that, other than if you get into the life cycle or mixed use zone, the multifamily residential is kind of the one multifamily zone that's kind of transitional, that allows for both multifamily and detached single family homes. Does that help you?
That does. And so it looks like Hidden Creek there, down Bluff Street, half a block, is multifamily residential. And I'm guessing that most of those are owner occupied. But I don't know for sure. And so that would be I would like to see, I don't know about 12 units per net acre, but 7 units per acre, multifamily residential, that's more in line with the Hidden Creek group there, quite a few homes over there. And I'm guessing since they have a driveway on the street, that they're all privately owned, or many of them are privately owned. Which is not an apartment building. An apartment building would be something even different than that. So I'm not really for the multifamily medium, but I'd be open to some of the others. Do any of the options here require, all of the options here to us on rezoning, do they require, I'm asking this of the commission as well as Ryan and Scarlett and Tyler, do any of these give them the option of a private street in here to service all these units? Or is it gonna have to be when they develop this property that they're gonna have to put in a public street?
My understanding, Scarlett, correct, but my understanding is a public street because they'll have more than 2 units on it, so it can't be a private, and not enough for a PUD, which would have, if they had enough, they could have done that. But I don't believe. I think it's a public street. Is that not correct, Scarlett?
Yeah, that's correct.
So it's a public street because they don't have enough to exempt one way with private, and they have too many for just a kind of a private drive. So
they couldn't put in an entrance there at the corner of 150 North or 150 West and 200 North. It couldn't be the entrance to a complex.
no.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
The map that you have pulled up there, Ryan, where did you get that? Because I've got
It's on our website.
I have a different one that looks like this from the website.
Yeah, this is interactive.
What's that?
This is interactive on our website.
Yeah. So these are my observations. Bear welding, which is in the red up there, it's been there for a long time. So when the zoning went into place, that classification just stayed with them. They probably had a grandfathered use anyway.
And that's commercial.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're talking to the mic. So.
And the parcels that are in pink, they are pretty large parcels. If this were rezoned, you'd have a blip of a dot in that golden area in the corner. And I have a concern that would actually be spot zoning, which is not a good policy to do.
You want to define that for the people that are listening?
Well, first off, I want to make sure that the public understands we don't have any decision in this. We make a recommendation to the city council, and the city council can reject that recommendation or accept it or modify it. We just have to do the public hearing and then make a recommendation. So whatever we do, understand that it's just a recommendation. Spot zoning to me is where you just spot zone. You don't say have a consistent plan. It's not consistent with the general plan. And a lot of effort's been put into the general plan to indicate what the 20-year projection for the city is in certain areas. And zoning is just one small part of that. The spot zoning is what it is. It's just taking every parcel of property and deciding to have a mishmash of different zoning. I would be against this proposal with all due respect to the Perrys because of that. I think the observation, and I can't remember your name, but where you said the pink parcels and the convalescent center, that they're much larger parcels and can stand on their own status as zones for those parcels. But to do just a small parcel to spot zone, I wouldn't be in favor.
Any zoning, not just multifamily medium.
Of anything that would change it from the golden, because that whole parcel was set when people bought it. That's what their expectations were. And to change it to a pink or a green or anything else to me would be spot zoning.
Okay.
This is my opinion.
That's what we need. Any other comments, concerns? Okay, any motions?
I would make a motion to deny the rezone recommendation or recommend a denial of the rezone recommendation for parcels 2-144-042 and 2-144-045, otherwise known as the Jepson and Perry properties, to our city council.
Joe, okay. We've got a motion by Tyler to deny this recommendation, and we've got a second by Joe Chambers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we're going to recommend to the city council that this application be denied. And we really appreciate everybody coming out tonight and having this discussion. Go ahead.
So what point do we look at the multifamily residential then?
Can you come up to the mic if you can?
Yeah.
We got to keep it on record. Sorry.
So just with what's been recommended with Scarlett and all that, I understand we're talking about multifamily medium with the application. So at what point do now we just look at other options that we could discuss tonight, as Scarlett said, about single or multifamily residential and that kind of nature? I was just curious where that kind of falls.
We're here tonight. We're here tonight to discuss the application for multifamily. Multifamily medium density. That's what we've recommended on medium density. Could you come back and ask for a subdivision and put 2 homes in there? Yeah, you could come back and ask for that. That wouldn't change the zoning. If you want to change it to multifamily residential, yes, we could apply for that. So there are different zonings that it could go to. So yes, you could reapply. We have discussion again.
And to my understanding, Scarlett mentioned that tonight we could do that tonight, if that's what was recommended. She said that at the beginning.
So they could have, if in their motion, they could have made that, and at some point, kind of the question was, would you consider another? The answer was no. That's when that was considered. And at this point, one of those 4, yeah, I'm just trying to clarify that one of those 4 was not chosen. It was the denial was the option of the 4 options we were given. Yes. So yeah,
But we would,
that was my.
but we would visit this again. The same application, but a different zoning. We would do that again, wouldn't we?
no. They could get a new application.
That's
You
what
could
I mean.
yes.
New application.
I just thought you said the same application.
Different application.
If they had a new application, you could come back in that discussion, but a new application would require another public hearing. So this is the public hearing for this application. Council doesn't necessarily have to hold a public hearing, and oftentimes doesn't. They can take comment, but they take the recommendation, the application. Oftentimes they listen to these meetings because they're recorded, advertised, and so, but.
Okay, yeah, my understanding was that they could, but when it was asked, he just said, no, we're not interested in discussing any of the further options. That's when that took place.
You see what your options are now.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Yep.
I did have a procedure question.
Hang on. How much more time we got on other issues?
I promise you.
Okay, we got time. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great, thank you. Brittany Bingham, so just procedure wise, to your point that this is,
We gotta get your name again.
oh, Brittany Bingham. Yeah. To your point that this is just a recommendation that goes to the city council, a recommendation to deny the zoning change. So that recommendation now goes to city council, so they'll vote on it, correct? At the next city council meeting, or how exactly does that work?
Generally, it would go to the next council or the next administrative, sometimes administratively, but I would think it's going to be on our next one is what we expected.
Okay,
So,
sounds good, just the procedure.
which is next Wednesday.
They will then make a decision on the application. Okay. I'm going to go on to item number 3 tonight, which is another an administrative application regarding Canyon View Estates subdivision final plat. This is when I expect mass exodus. I hope you guys stay warm tonight. We'll be thinking about you when we're here at 1 in the morning.
We might check to see if the applicant's here. I don't know the applicant.
That's true.
Thank you.
See, I have an opinion. I would, if I was the developer, I would go ahead. I was do all kinds of shoot shot.
the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we had the applicant here.
So, we have a representative here tonight from Canyon View Estates.
I'm Wesley Elder, I'm the applicant.
Wesley, stay right there. We're gonna have Scarlett give us a summary. Then you can agree or disagree with her. And come on up. Okay. Scarlett, we're ready for you when you're ready.
Okay, so this is an amended final plat. And what you're looking at is an enlarged view, so you can see the lot better. If you choose to approve this, they will prepare a final plat on Mylar that will have the utility signatures, the city signatures that they need, just like you're normally looking at. But at this point in time, they're showing you how they would like to change their lot. Back in this subdivision was created in 1996, and at that time, a front yard or a street side yard had a 30-foot setback. As you can see by the design of the lot, that would be very difficult to meet those setbacks, but they were shown that the developer met the criteria, showed them on the plat. Come down the road to 2022. We have changed our setback rules in 2021. And now in our current code, a front yard is 20 feet and a street side yard is 20 feet. However, because the setbacks are considered an internal lot restriction, we always go back and look at the plat and we make people build to the plat unless they come and get that restriction changed. And that's what they're asking for. They're asking to be able to build under the current code with 20-foot side yard or street side yard and 20-foot front yard setbacks. And they have followed the procedure. Like I said, if you choose to give them a favorable nod on this, then as you can see on the conditions, then there's a couple of things that the Planning Commission has to do if you choose to give them a favorable nod. If you will look at finding of fact, conclusion number 9, which is on page 3 of 3, it says the Planning Commission is the land use authority for subdivision approval. The Planning Commission must find good cause for the amendment and no public street or municipal utility easement is being vacated or amended. It's correct that no public street is being vacated or amended. So prior to your approval, as part of your motion, you would need to state why you feel there is good cause for this amendment, should you choose to make it. And then condition number 2 is prior to recording, the applicant will prepare a recordable final plat that meets all the requirements in Providence City Code 1133. I apologize, I left off the PCC there. And then our final condition is the condition that the applicant will continue to meet all relevant federal, state, county, and Providence City rules, laws, codes, ordinances. Approval by the city of any application or paperwork submitted does not alleviate the owners and or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated. So, so far they've gone through the steps and now it's in your hands to look at it and determine if good cause exists for changing this internal lot restriction and allowing them to build under the current day setbacks instead of the 1996 setbacks. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, and so this is strictly an amendment to the final plat, that we're not talking about the house. It's an undeveloped piece of property.
Correct. It's got services to it, but it's an undeveloped piece of property. It's a lot in a subdivision. It's a legal lot in a subdivision. like I said, this is an internal lot restriction because the setback lines are shown on each lot. And they're just asking to amend the setback lines on this particular lot.
Thank you, Scarlett. Your elder, come on up. State your name and
My name's Wesley Elder. We recently bought this piece of property. As you can see in the top, recently the property was changed. This was the original lot line. And then this 18.2 feet was added to and cut off, sold to different people as a part of, I believe it was the building of this upper lot, the shirt lifts, so they could have sufficient frontage, street frontage for their lot. By doing that, it really made the top portion of that lot unbuildable due to setbacks for primary residence. It's only 70 feet wide, so you don't really have the space sufficient. So it almost makes it very challenging to build the house facing west. And because of the convex nature, that 30-foot setback on if the house faces down is south. So if the house faces south, having a 30-foot setback from the other road is very challenging from a building the house perspective. So going to most people actually thought it was 25 feet because that's what I guess previous Providence City code was for many years, not realizing that the plat was marked with a 30-foot zoning, a 30-foot setback. So that's why we want to go to the current code. More than likely, we wouldn't actually put our house within 20 feet, especially in the front. It would more just be the back, the side distance, being perpendicular to the road and getting a full 30 feet is quite challenging from a house building perspective.
it doesn't look like you want anything close to the utility easements.
No,
There's nothing concerned there.
no. So the current thought is the house will be built here, facing the same direction as the Swenson home. And with the current house plan, if I go 25 feet here, I'm about 25 feet from this back corner with this. So going to, I think at 30 feet, it put me with the current house design, it was about 22 feet. So being able to close forward lets it grow a little bit and be more, have equal setbacks on both sides.
Okay.
So,
Okay, questions for Mr. Elder? Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Questions amongst us, concerns? I see the due diligence has been done and there's nothing obvious to me out of line. Would anybody like to offer a motion?
Still oriented. I'm a little slow, but once I get there.
Uh-oh. You just keep looking. I'm gonna go get a drink of water.
So I'd go ahead and make a motion that that we approve the plat amendment for parcel 02145-002 so that the current zoning can be applied to that and we adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law that staff has prepared subject to the conditions. And that my finding for good cause is that it, first off, it doesn't detract from the neighborhood and allows a parcel of property that otherwise would have a very difficult time getting a house situated on it. That it allows the property to be utilized by the property owner.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will. Let me see. Let me get this right. What did we just do? We've considered, we discussed it, and we've acted upon, we've allowed this amendment to go through to the Canyon View Estate subdivision. Of course, Mr. Elder's biggest concern was the setbacks. And looks like it's done. You're working, go build, right? I mean, you're building tomorrow or you know, wait for lumber.
Well, don't say that in a public meeting. Please don't say that in a public meeting.
We're gonna have to rule again.
Hey, you already said it was approved.
Oh,
Approved.
right now, we can do it right. We can do a backfill right now.
Yeah, so we, since we have this approval.
Good luck with lumber prices.
They dropped 3% today.
They can only go down, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, you can leave. It's an odd meeting, but you can leave.
Sorry you had to stay so long.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we have no study items suggested here. Is there anything else anybody would like to bring up? Did you raise your hand?
I just would comment, Rowan's not here to make a motion to adjourn, so somebody else will have to do that. Somebody else will have to do that.
If I'm gonna be the vice chair and get to be the chair for a couple of weeks. Let's see, I have nothing else. Okay, so we need a motion. Gosh, that's just the way Rowan would do it. Rowan would be done. We need a motion to.
I'll make a motion when you adjourn.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.